Okay, let's get started. Ming, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, really good. Perfect. So, welcome everyone and good afternoon. I hope you are ready for hopefully a round of inspiration from the Ipsos side. Um, I want to introduce you today to a theme and a topic and an agenda that I'm extremely passionate about. So my name is Jens. I'm head of innovation in the Ipsos Denmark office, and I've been joined today with Ming, dialing in from Toronto and Canada. Thank you so much for joining, Ming. Ming is the global responsible in Ipsos for any type of innovation solution, methodology development, and is also the brain behind some of the great stuff that we will show you today. So hopefully you know from the introduction to the webinar and when you signed up, today we'll be addressing the new area of innovation with human and artificial intelligence. We definitely see a strong movement and a clear transformation in the industry that is happening right now, and this is what we will address today. And we'll talk more to the concept learning agent, how that is reshaping how we do innovation work, essentially. I really encourage you as listener for this webinar to put yourself in a challenger role. Where are you as an individual? Where are you as a team? But also, where do you see yourself as part of the enterprise you're in? Where do you see the maturity of that enterprise? When we look at the theme of today, think bold, be curious, and think provocation that you can take back to your peers in your context. A few things that might help you in relation to actively be part of this while you're listening. So you can note down while we go along, what immediate actions would you turn back to your organizations that you want to start on and should start on? But also maybe what are some of the things that you feel that might be holding you and or your organization, your enterprise from adoption of some of these initiatives? A few practical notes. So please do pop your questions as we go along. There is a Q&A session. Hopefully it's very clear where that is. And then we'll pick up on the Q&A part in the very end of the presentation. We will also share the slides after this alongside with a recording, so no need for you to stress out about doing screenshots, etc. We will share with this. But welcome to the webinar, and let's get started. Ming, I'm super excited to have you here, and I hope you're ready, even though it's early morning for you in Canada. Are you ready?
Absolutely. Very excited to be
Perfect.
here. Hello, everyone.
Perfect. So, what we see right now in the industry when we talk about innovation in general, but also when we talk about market research related to innovation, is that we see that there is a clear transformation going on. And this is, of course, fueled and powered by the development and involvement of artificial intelligence. We can see that innovation legacy is often being talked about being somewhat too slow, somewhat too much hands-on. So imagine an ideation process, imagine a process where you are to identify new growth spaces, growth opportunities. A lot of hands-on, a lot of people needs to be involved to do the development, do the investigations. Also, we can see that it's a lot limited to the human capacity that you have in the process, and there are too many sequential steps. So this is clearly where we see that generative AI and AI in general is disrupting this space of innovation. So again, aiming for richer insights that will give you bolder innovations. And again, this we hear a lot with our clients. You want to go for those fewer, bigger bets. We can also see that this transforms into the traditional cycles that I'll come back to, and also, of course, smarter processes for doing more with less. Um, the clear difference that we see now from just a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, is that we are moving away from buzz to actual use cases where we can see that there are actual business value being enabled by artificial intelligence. So we see right now a vital shift towards a new area of faster and smarter innovation. When we talk about a new area or era of innovation, this is something that we have been staying close to for many years. At Ipsos, we already adopted the AI, and analytical AI was one of the first sort of schools of AI coming to us, and we have done this for several years already. One of the ways that we stay very close is for us to have a lot of conversations with our different clients globally, and off of that and off of our experience, we do these white papers. One of the white papers, which Ming is actually the co-author of, is the new area of innovation. And this essentially leads to what we are to talk about and discuss today with you. So we clearly see that the foundation was built many, many years ago, back to the 1960s, and with the funnels, we talk about innovation funnels, up to the 1980s, where the state gauge really were introduced and rolled out in many organizations. And of course, the purpose with those was to mitigate risk and ensure that you got into market with the strongest innovation ideas and the strongest innovation products. We can now see that there is a clear transformation and an evolvement where we can see the gates are being shattered, and AI is streamlining the innovation cycles. So we are no longer working in silos or sequential. Everything is happening more in the mix in one single cycle. So development, optimization, and validation. And not only in one cycle, but it's happening a lot faster and less reliant on a lot of human capacity. So this is the clear transformation that we are seeing right now. And of course, what you'll see today and what we are to present, for some, this will still be the future. But of course, this is no longer the future. This is the present. These are solutions and services that we do with some of our clients. And some of the brands are actually pioneering this and creating a competitive advantage or edge for them in the market. So today, this is what it looks like. When we say that AI, artificial intelligence, is disrupting and transforming how we operate with innovation in companies, also how we do market research, we can see there are different schools or conceptual understandings of artificial intelligence and what it allows us to bring of benefits. So most of you will be familiar with analytical AI. That's essentially what came out quite early, and we have actually been working with this for many, many years already. So it's a lot about understanding patterns in data, regressions, statistical predictions. It's data science and machine learning models. Then we had the evolvement and really democratization of generative AI. ChatGPT really set the tone for putting this in every human's hand. This is all about creation. So text, images, code, even music, and it's accessible to everyone out there. It responds, it doesn't initiate. So it still relies heavily on human prompts. What is newer, but it is there now, this is now, is AI agents. Some of you might already be working with this on some of your work streams, but this is where we talk about AI being able to interpret, being able to act, being able to adapt, and actually perform tasks autonomously. So this is where the AI is guided by goals, rules, and context. So of course, this is changing the game quite dramatically. What we see now a little bit, but then definitely in the near future, is this notion of an agentic system. So a full ecosystem where agents are working together. So without necessarily human interaction, still human starts the stream, at least in most occasions. But they don't work in isolation, but work as a full ecosystem. So they do collaborate, they do coordinate, and they can orchestrate actions. With this, I think, Ming, can you enlighten us a little bit on what is new on agentic AI in innovation space?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be very happy to. When we predicted this new era of innovation was coming 2 or 3 years ago, we didn't have agents at the time yet, right? So we saw that this was coming. Innovation is going to be connected and faster than ever before. But when agent came along about a year and a half ago, this is where really things started to happen. Today, what we're staring at is a agentic system forming in record speed, and soon enough, this will be in your hands, of that will completely transform how you do innovation, right? So we call it InnoExplorer AI 2.0. But what it is it's a series of specialized agents, each tasked with one of those functions in your innovation cycle. You start from learning from the past, learning from existing data, learning from industry data to gather the insights that you need to generate innovation, which is the next step on top. Once your innovation is generated with its idea, concepts, or the full mix, it will then be screened by synthetic panel, usually digital twins of consumers, to get some early indication whether some of those ideas were good or not. And at that point, you can enrich the optimization with other data, for example, social data, for example, pack data, for example, product sensory data, to make the mix even better. When you're ready, you send the full mix that you have developed to real consumers to get them tested. The difference here is that this is the same cycle as you have worked on before, but this is all orchestrated by agents, right? So you as a consumer or as a user of the agentic system, as an insight manager, your experience is just the natural language. You're basically asking natural language into the user interface where you have an agent of agents that is directing traffic. Based on what you're asking, it's going to call upon the right agent to perform your task, right? So there is no real starting or ending. It's all analyzing your intention based on the query that you make. Very seamless, end-to-end, all in one place, right? So of course, this is many of these are ready in the marketplace right now, but today we're going to just focus on one of those agents to give you a flavor, which is the learning agent, and we'll talk specifically about one type of learning agent that is concept learning.
Fabulous, and super excited that this is here now. We have already had our fingers into one of these agents, and it's quite exciting. So I think let's enlighten the audience a little bit on what this actually is.
Sure. Zooming into concept learning agent a little bit better. So the challenge usually facing insight managers, I'm sure a lot of you do concept testing and you have hundreds of concepts, even thousands of concepts tested in the past. And when you're starting the new innovation sprint, the first thing that you wanted to do is to make sure that you don't repeat the same mistakes that you have made before and learn from what has been successful in the past, right? So usually that means a meta-analysis. In the old days, meta-analysis takes weeks or even if not months to complete, and you have a challenge dealing with all different types of data, whether they are unstructured, such as your reports, or structured, such as your database documentation, or even the responder level data file, right? So you will spend a lot of time trying to connect all of these dots and have them all generate coherent learning for you together, right? And this is the challenge that we're trying to face. How do you integrate all of this disintegrated data sources and let them all work together towards your question and generate actionable insights, and very, very importantly, in seconds, no longer in days or weeks or even months, right? So this is what concept learning agent is. Essentially, it's an agent that is specialized in providing learning and insights and actions for your concept generation and concept learning. It is built specifically for your brand, meaning that the data that is going into the agent is trained with only the data that you qualify it to see, right? So that it's secure and it gets to the point. It knows your history, so it's all very customized for you. It is trusted with Ipsos rigor, meaning that the agent is not just a run-of-the-mill language model. It knows everything that Ipsos experts such as Jens knows about what makes a good concept. What do you need to do when you're writing a new concept? So it has Ipsos rigor. Therefore, it's able to deliver actionable insights that is tailored to marketing managers and insight managers. And of course, all of this is within a click and within one sentence of your query, and that the agent will get all of the answer curated for you. So getting a little bit deeper into what actually powers this agent, as I mentioned, you can curate a set of structured and unstructured concept data from your concept testing program, whether they are reports, whether they are proposal documents, what have you, unstructured data, text-based, or you can have structured data, whether it's the structured database files or the responder level data file that is behind the scenes. They can all be together. Concept learning agent is also connected with social and review data that is relevant to your category or brand. So you can query social data for hints, for trends, for any interesting product developments that you see in the wider world. And of course, you can also upload any knowledge that you have, whether from past research or from foundational learnings or from past meta-analysis, right? So in summary, we have concept program learnings, we have brand and industry learnings, whether it is from the Ipsos side or from your side, and we have all of the historical meta-analysis that you have done, right? So in other words, it's almost like your family doctor who is very familiar with your medical history. You don't have to repeat your medical history each time you go to see her. You just go straight into what your new challenge is, right? So it's a very smart and customized agent for you. The way that it works is that the human will interact with an agent called deep research agent, who analyzes what you wanted to do based on your query you make and sources the right sources of data to answer this question. But this deep research agent does not do statistical analysis, right? So when it sees that your query goes into, say, a stat testing or a crosstab, then it will farm this task into a data science agent, which is, think about it as its subcontractor, and then it will summarizes the deep data science agent's answer from the structured data, statistical procedures, mathematical calculations, with the analysis of unstructured data, which is text-based, and synthesize those learning and push back a coherent answer to you. You as a user don't even know that all of these agents are working together for your query, but behind the scenes, there is a network of agents that is dividing your query into specific tasks. So people use primary concept learning agent as simple as just doing some search or retrieval of their testing history, and they do summarization, meta-analysis, and they do data analytics and synthesis, and most importantly, they can also generate new insights guiding into the next innovation cycle, right? Jens, how about we try this with one of your companies, Jens?
Yeah.
I heard that you have a brewery job going on the side, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Yungming. And I think, so for me, one critical important thing to highlight here is that what you will see throughout, when we get to now talk a little bit more about and see tangible examples of the concept learning agent, is that it's still very much human in the loop. So this is not, at least yet, and as for now, AI on its own. And again, I think this will be a common theme throughout the rest of our speak today, that you will see there is still a need for humans in the loop, but the need for that human is changing and transforming back to the introduction. But absolutely, Yungming, I think for people to have the best understanding of what this is, let's provide them with a tangible example. So I've been working quite extensively on expanding my corporation. So my name is Jens Dupont Beverage Inc. I'm a European marketeer in this beverage company. We are present in many European markets, but we have a few core markets, among which Poland is one. We are generally testing with Ipsos when it comes to innovation. We have a lot of history with Ipsos testing, so a large database. But we also have quite extensive market knowledge, and we also rely on Ipsos to help us provide their knowledge. And then also we have quite a lot of social data from other past projects. And I've been asked by my CMO to identify the next big thing. So let's play this out as an example. I first of all really want to get to learn from our less successful innovations. So I think back to one of your use cases. How can we learn actually from what we have tested before, and with the purpose of hypothesizing and getting hints for new product development? So maybe, Yungming, let's start with understanding historical performance for our innovations. I will allow you to act the concept learning operator. If that's okay, then I'll act the marketeer.
Let's start. Yeah? So usually any users will start by querying the concept learning agent to get a landscape view of what kind of concept that has been tested in the past. As you can see, the agent was busy tabulating the past records, the number of categories, the number of concepts tested in each category, as well as the performance of those concepts. Through that process, let's assume that Jens become interested in all of these non-alcoholic alternative beverages, and he starts to recognize that some of those concepts have not been performed so well. it has received a restart archetype, which is in the Ipsos database, indicates that this concept has problem with both relevance and differentiation. And yes, usually, what a client will do is in the next stage explore what is actually going on behind these data, right? So if you, then let's check it out. So I am now querying the database to go deeper into these restart concepts to see what has gone wrong, especially in the non-alcoholic space. So first of all, the agent is pulling me the exact concept that we have tested in the non-alcoholic beverage space that has received a restart archetype. You can see some of them called Delight and Frontier, and you see that the score on relevance and differentiation are truly bad, right? So now you have a focus. Let's do a zoomed in learning on these two concepts and understand why is consumer not accepting my last attempt at launching non-alcoholic beverages. So I'm now at this point querying the respondent level data, right? I'm querying the open-ended data that we have collected through those concept tests on why, give me some hints, why people didn't like it, right? So AI went to work summarizing hundreds and hundreds of consumer verbatims and coming out with these scenes that I think is worth paying attention to, Jens, that taste is a big barrier, and as well as lack of uniqueness. My hypothesis as a market researcher is that there has been too many de-alcoholized or non-alcoholic lagers and beers out there. People are getting a little bit tired of just imitating beer, right? So the taste is no longer feeling natural to them, and they're looking for a little bit of an excitement. And this has been the main reason that your past concept has been failing. So let's make sure that we avoid these problems going forward.
Fabulous. No, that makes really good sense. And but from the click of a finger, you get to these insights that I know as a marketeer from the past, I've had to spend a lot of time on digging into. So that's fantastic. Let's bring this to our collaboration board. So now we know that we are struggling, at least proportionally, on low relevance and the lack of differentiation. We also know that it's a market with saturation, so quite a lot of players want to enter this space. We just highlighted that there is this notion around taste. There is this notion about lack of excitement. So I think this is a good start, Young-Ming, but how can we get even further on this? So I heard from a Trends and Foresight colleague that there is a decrease in alcoholic consumption or decrease in mainstream beer consumption. So can you help me understand this a little bit better by the general foundational understanding we have?
Absolutely. There are hundreds of thinkers in Ipsos publishing industry articles that summarizes these type of things on a daily basis, right? So at this point, you see that I am querying the concept learning agent from the Ipsos Knowledge Center to see if any publications were on this topic. And you see that very quickly, concept learning agent is able to generate a summary of articles that it was able to find together with an executive summary, and it's linking you to the documents that has been in the Ipsos publication. And with a link, you can read more if you wish to. It is a very comprehensive report generated in a matter of seconds. But I would just call out that if you can see on the screen that one of the summarization is that the younger generation is really the core group of people that are reducing their alcoholic consumption because they are very conscious of their health and their social inclusivity in their activities that they do, right? The other thing that they're looking for, which is marries very well with the concept learning that you have just found, is that people are actually looking for a little bit more ingredient provenance, and they're looking for the experience and no longer just the liquid, and they're looking for a little bit more premiumized experience to go with an alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverage occasion. So hopefully these learning from Ipsos knowledge is helpful for your course, Jens.
Yes, amazing. I think we are starting now to build up a narrative essentially. So for me to have clear hypotheses and hints to form what should be the next thing for me in the DuPont Beverage Inc. So let's put it again, this to the collaboration board. Young-Ming very nicely summarized. So we see this about the younger generation, the moderation trend. We have the ingredients origin or provenance and the authenticity of the products, and that they're really looking for something that is experience-led, and there is clearly some movement around the premiumization of in this category. I feel we have a really good, strong foundation for an innovation springboard, but maybe we can get a few more hints from real-time social data, Youngming.
Yep. For sure. As I mentioned, the concept learning agent is connected to the right data sources on social and review data. So all you have to do is just query for inspirations of the products that is out there that people are drinking, that are trending, and then you can summarize some of those hints for your next innovation sprint, right? So I'm going to summarize some for you here, Jens. So, for example, people are associating natural flavor with botanical herbs and fruits and spices. I understand your brand already have a very strong heritage in fruity beers, so I think this could be a good hit.
Yeah,
Another thing I noticed is that it's all about inclusive socializing. In other words, young people does not want to feel the pressure that some people are drinking alcohol, some people are not drinking alcohol in these kind of social occasions. So they feel like social occasion with non-alcoholic beer is a good angle to target. And also they're looking for premiumized and crafty options, and they're going beyond beer, as you can see. Some of those interesting things includes bottled mocktails and non-alcoholic sparkling wines, which also sound very interesting, that are trendy. Are these insights helpful you from social data?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we are starting to create a picture that things come together. So we talked about the moderation trend, and we also see this here about the inclusive socializing. We see these elements around the ingredients provenance or origins. Clearly, there are clear cues here on what that might mean. I think it's still unclear what is the exact cut-in point. So I think the next step, my management, I've been asked to start the next phase of this global innovation platform in Poland, which is a clear priority market. So I think now we have enough from the concept learning agent. Thank you, Youngming. But the general question is, what do we then do from here? What you have probably realized now and seen the evidence of is the value of a concept learning agent, that it can help you build this strong foundation for your next step or your springboard into an innovation journey. And of course, this happens in minutes or hours rather than days, weeks, months back and forth with you between your agencies, etc. So this is essentially now sitting right there in front of you as you work, and you can experiment more, you can iterate more. But what do we then do for the next step? So we know now that we have a clear overview of where are the hypotheses or the tension points that we want to then kickstart a journey for. So we are in Poland. This is our key priority market for us. We know that we still believe in consumer centricity, so we need an approach that allows us to do that. However, we have been told that we only have a few weeks to build a full pipeline. And this, in the old days, have been a clear challenge where this process would take from unmet needs to final propositions months and not days or weeks. So this is where Ipsos comes into the picture again. Youngming mentioned about we have InnoExplore AI 2.0, where the agents in the future will talk to each other, they can activate one another. This is what it looks like for now. So this is our end-to-end innovation journey that we can activate to allow you to go from unmet needs to final propositions in days rather than months. I'll spend the next few minutes to talk you through the specific case that we have built up for Poland. We now have gathered the hypotheses, the hints that we now want to deep dive on. So what we do with this InnoExplore process is that we always start to really understand and immerse ourselves into consumers' realities. This we do with a quantitative survey where we use projective techniques to really understand what are the underlying motivations behind behavior change. And what we really are looking to identify is unmet needs and barriers, because this will help us kickstart an innovation roadmap journey. So we ask respondents to express why is it difficult for them to achieve a desired outcome. When we collect all of that data, AI comes into the picture. It helps us automatically. So from a few modeling days, we get up to 80 unmet needs. That is not only giving us unmet needs in statements and expressing what it is. What you can see on the screen here is essentially an example of how we use metrics to help us understand how we can prioritize these. So we get to understand for how many is this need relevant, how important is it for them, but also we get an indication if they're willing to spend a little more to have this problem solved for them. So this in total will help us with the human lens again into this process to help prioritize what are the unmet needs that we want to pursue. In this case, for the practicality of the example, we decided on cultural and local resonance. So this is clearly tapping into the hypotheses and the hints that we found from the concept learning agent exercise. And again, here you can see a great example of it's AI writing this up based on the consumer language that we collected from the quantitative survey. So cultural and local resonance, products resonating with local tastes, traditions, and cultural preferences, incorporating local polished flavors or ingredients connecting consumers with their heritage and more likely to be embraced. Again, you can see this is identified as an attractive space with an okay reach, quite important for consumers to have something solved here, and also they're willing to spend a little bit more. Then the next part of the journey is that we use this as the foundation for ideation. So we have built out of the legacy of Ipsos clear prompts on having AI helping us ideate. So again, from a few modeling days, we get up to 100 ideas generated by AI. And then we add in the human to the loop again to ensure that we review those, qualify those. There might be ideas that where AI has gone a little crazy, but we can actually build in guardrails to ensure that it doesn't go completely south from what we, for example, can do with our brand. We selected again, the example here, one of the ideas that came out of this case, and this is again a real example of what the AI wrote us as an example of an idea. So again, clear link to the unmet need, still within the range of the hypothesis and the hints that we found from the concept learning agent. So you can see a Holy Cross cherry, a low alcoholic sparkling cherry wine made with cherries picked from the gardens of Sopot, so a local area in Poland. This beverage would combine the sweet and tart flavors of cherries with a fizzy finish, capturing the essence of a breeze day at the Baltic Sea. So again, clear link to some of the hypotheses that we identified back in the concept learning exercise. The beauty that happens now is that all of us know the work going into when we have an idea and we need to write it up as a full concept. So AI still in the concept of explore helps us to actually write up full concepts. So we, again, in this context, have used the Ipsos legacy and historical knowledge of testing more than 250,000 concepts to help understand how do we write up a strong concept. So in this case, we picked a few ideas and we asked it to write up 33 full concepts. What we typically do is for one idea, we prompt AI to write up 4 versions of each idea. So it could be a premium version, a tweetified version, so a shorter one. It could be one where we load or dial up on the emotional benefit and one where we dial up on the functional benefit. And what we have here is one example. So you can see the full concept. Again, no human interaction on this specific outcome. This is written by AI. But of course, this is where we always recommend to have human in the loop. So sanity checking, sense checking what is in there. But imagine in today's world, for many cases, the energy and hours going into writing up strong concepts. This is now enabling you to move much faster, but also allow much more creativity in. And in this case, we use the AI-powered screening tool to actually understand whether this is an idea that would hold true with Polish young consumers. And in this case, that is a real case example. You can see that it performs well, has a good performance. And those of you knowing about the KPI at Ipsos, you can see here getting a 105 in trial index, which is a 5% more expected trial than an average innovation into the market. Of course, for many organizations, this is where you can also add in more rigor tests to be 100% sure and to get a more deep validation. So in essence, with a bit of speed talking today, but hopefully giving you a quite good view into what the future, but not the future, actually the present, what it looks like, and how AI is fueling and disrupting and transforming how you can do innovation today, and especially when it comes to the research proportions of innovation that in the before in time have been quite time consuming, now allows you to go from months to days for final propositions. With this, we will open up for Q&A. Have you already popped the questions? That's great. Does any questions pop up? Please add them into the pool of other questions. But maybe to begin with, Young-Ming, one of the questions that I've had is, what makes the difference for Ipsos versus other agents out there? I've seen other great use cases, other great propositions out there. So how is Ipsos concept learning agent different?
Sure. At the end of the day, what Ipsos is best at is our innovation knowledge, the database, the staff, and the expertise, right? So what we basically try to do is not to just launch a software, a tool, but to make sure that this is going to perform as a innovation expert, right? So how do we do that? Is by rigorous training on the agent's behavior, the type of answers that it gives, the accuracy of those answers and the value of those answers against our human standards. We're ensuring that the answers are to the standards of innovation experts and not just your usual quote unquote large language model experience, right? So that's the core difference. And the answers that you will receive is going to be in the, in lack of better terms, in your language, right? And you will be able to connect directly to your innovation cycle because it has been trained as a team. Does that help? Yes. Absolutely,
and I think it's super critical because even though there are common language out there for many different client contexts, we always know that there is tailored language that is sitting within organizations. I think this is super important, and I think this also goes hand in hand with the security part of this, so that we ensure that it's a fenced environment that goes where everything that goes in essentially stays within that domain without going out for the training of the models.
And I would add that when we are deploying one of these agents to a client, we invite you to join us in the curation and the training of this agent, right? So there will be a space for you to introduce what you think is important for this agent to know, to shape the answers that the agent will give. For example, if there's a specific history, context that the agent should know on your innovation program, we can put that into the training program as well, right? So it's a collaboration, it's customized specifically for your needs.
Yeah.
If there's any other questions, please do not be shy, put it in the Q&A. We'll be really happy to answer.
Amazing. Thanks, Young-Ming, and thank you so much for all of you listening in. We look much forward to continue the conversations. This is a topic that we are passionate about, and I'm sure many of you are as well while you listen in. With that, thank you so much, and have a lovely rest of afternoon.